Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Tech Talk, a podcast where Amit and I talk about all things tech. We don't just talk about tech, we also talk about how the tech impacts our society, our lives, and everything in between. Today, we've chosen to talk about enterprise software. We all know about software, and there are different types of software. You can categorize them in different ways. Software is just another way of categorizing a particular set of software, which we feel would be really beneficial for our audience to know. Let's talk about enterprise software. And for my benefit, more than anyone else, what is enterprise software?
Yeah, thanks for that introduction. I think, you're right, because software can be categorized into multiple things. There are software specifically for individual usage. There are softwares that are specifically for business usage. There are software for scientific purposes. And there are different software for different types of industries. So when we talk about enterprise software, we are talking software targeted for businesses. Businesses have a lot of complex operations and they have to manage everything through a centralized system. So they need to manage that through software. Earlier, businesses used to manage everything through paperwork. Now they have moved to software. So how do you manage everything, including your operations, your staff, your resources, your logistics, your supply chain through an enterprise software? So these softwares are specifically targeted for businesses. Now, the reason I selected this topic is because I think a lot of people, when they start in their career, they're used to software that they use. You're used to things like Microsoft Office, you're used to things like Windows. These are enterprise software as well. But as part of when you join a company, say you study engineering and you join a company now, and then suddenly you have to start working for a business. Now, there you will encounter some different types of software which you will never find for your personal use. And that's why I think it's important to talk about it so that people have more knowledge about what kind of software they can expect when they join a new company.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Amit, for that insight. Let's step back a little bit and reimagine the situation before internet and how did the enterprise manage all of these tasks at that time. As far as I remember, before computing was commonplace, there was pen and paper. As companies started to adopt more and more of computing and then eventually internet, the need for software to manage all of these grew even more because with changing times, even the requirements changed. Compliance and regulatory requirements required companies to keep data in a certain way, provide us data security for their clients, and also to maintain cybersecurity so they can protect their assets. So there are many things in play when companies have to decide what exactly should be their solution. So obviously, as you mentioned earlier, the company started with Microsoft Office Suite. That was revolutionary when it came out. Computing, Excel, Word made everything so much easier. That was a massive shift from typewriting. That is something easy to imagine how all the benefits were there and how everyone kind of installed Office individually in their laptops or computers and then got the benefits straight away. As the companies adopted more and more technologies, not a tech company, but just any company, for example, a bank or a manufacturing company, they had to adopt more and more of technology, computing, and eventually internet as well. So they had to shift all of their data managed in cloud, for example. And as they started doing this, they started facing the challenges of security, regulatory requirements, and all of that. And that's how all of these enterprise softwares on top of the basic softwares like Office came about to fill a need that wasn't fulfilled at the time.
Yes, I think you're heading in the right direction, but let's take even a step back.
Sure.
Let's say, for example, you want to manufacture a car or you are in a telecom company from where you buy your SIM card. They're two different industries. So these two different industries will have two different set of processes, but there are some things which will be common. There will be people in these companies. So someone will have to manage who is joining and who is leaving the company. Then there has to be a payroll system where you can say people can send invoices if there are contractors, and if there are permanent employees, you need to pay them salaries. Then you need to manage your taxes. Then you need to have an accounting system. So these are common things, even though they're different industries. And then you will have to manage their documents. Say you want to manage contracts, so you want to store those contracts which have been signed by people in a certain location so that you can retrieve them. What was agreed, what was not agreed. Say you sign a contract with a car company, you're purchasing a car from them, or you sign a contract with a SIM card company saying you will keep the SIM card and use it for, it could be a pay-as-you-go or a contract SIM card for say 18-month period. So you have all these things, right? So these few systems are common. Now, with a say car manufacturing company, they will have things which a SIM card may not have. It could be, okay, what is our inventory management system? How do we manage the inventory? We are a manufacturing company, we manufacture cars. I need to know what's there in the factory, on the factory floor. What do I need? When do I need it? Then I need to plan. So I'll have different maybe cars in production. So how do I plan the production of different cars? So there is like project planning involved. What do I need to manufacture it? How much money do I need? How many people do I need? When they will be available? When they will be not available, etc. So then you'll have to manage the supply chain. Who's going to give me the parts? I'm not maybe manufacturing the parts. I'm just manufacturing the car. So there might be a third-party supplier I have to deal with. So they will have their own system. So I'll have to deal with that. Then I need to have an email system to deal with communication across the enterprise. I might have a chat system. I need to know when did a person join? Have they completed 2 years? Have they completed their probation? So there are many such things. Then on top of that, you mentioned about GDPR, but you forgot about analytics. So you have all this data coming in. You have to, of course, make it secure. But now you have all this data, so you can do some analysis on it and see what is it that people are actually buying. So can you sell them products tailored to what they're actually buying? So a lot of times you would see some models continue, some models are taken out of production. In a company's thing, if a model is not doing well, there's no point of manufacturing it. Same with a SIM card plan. So some plans work really well, some plans don't. So every year you get some new offers, new data, minutes, roaming plans, etc. So all these things have to be managed through software. Previously, there used to be computers like mainframe systems, so IBM mainframe systems, right? And we are talking about World War time, where there were definitely computers, but majority of it was still being done by pen and paper. You will have to do accounting by paper, you will have to get contracts signed on paper, etc. And then computing came, but it was mostly for research purposes, for more complex calculation. And then large enterprises started adopting it to manage certain things like banking systems. How do you store different types of transactions? So this gives you like a small overview of why we need enterprise software in two different industries to explain what are the different requirements.
Good to know the breadth of how wide the reach of enterprise software is. When you think about enterprise software, you just think about software that's usually used in an enterprise, the type of software that big organizations need to keep things running. But you don't think about all the different areas. For example, a car company not just will have their manufacturing, but from accounting to cybersecurity, they have to maintain all of that. And they need different kinds of software. Let's come back to the definition of enterprise software a little bit more, because I want to ask you a little bit more of that. But before that, one of the things I want to share that I'm usually annoyed by, as I've worked in many enterprises, and I wonder why they do it. I have my own theories, but also do let me know what you think. So the use of IMs, instant messaging, and other communication softwares that are used in large organizations. I've worked in many global organizations, and what I've ended up seeing is that all of them have multiple messaging services, from Zoom to Teams to Jabber to it's endless. There was one or two companies where I've seen that they have a coherent system of this is the one software solution which we're going to use for video conferencing, messaging, to all kinds of communication. And I feel like that's a really good thing to have, because there was also in my previous companies I've worked where they had 4 to 5 different IMs and video conferencing solutions, and based on the region, one of them was popular than the other. All of them were available to everyone. A company of 200,000 people, it's really complicated, and you can't get hold of someone in a particular software, in a particular platform, and then you try all 5 platforms, which is, I feel, a hindrance of productivity. But at the same time, I also see that it might also foster more communication. So I don't know what you feel about that and whether you've experienced that, but it's something that have annoyed me and made me think a lot about what might be a positive of that. Why do companies do that? Is it intentional, or is it just happened this way and they just went with it, or what is it?
I've experienced it myself as well, and sometimes I also get frustrated why there are different channels of communication. But I think you have to understand there are 2 types of communication. One is internal communication within the organization. Say a CEO wants to address its employees. You don't want anyone outside the business to know about what the CEO is telling their employees. So that's one part. The other part is sales and marketing. Now they have to talk to external people. So their requirements might be different, because a salesperson cannot say that, oh, I have Zoom, can you come on Zoom? The other company might say, oh, I can't use Zoom because of my so-and-so IT requirement. I can only come on Teams. So one or the other have to compromise. So that's why there is some kind of fragmentation, but you have to understand where it is coming from and which department it's affecting. Say if you're within an IT department or the engineering department, as they now call it, then you would normally have one single channel to discuss everything, even across different departments, say product, DevOps, support, your engineering team, etc. So that's one software. So that explains, right? Internal and external. So that's one communication. The other is, what are we communicating about? So before instant messages came about, you used to work in offices. So you could actually go to someone's desk and ask them a question, or you send them an email. Now, normally emails were used to send out communication that can be tracked. You want to document something of importance because you don't want to use instant messenger for it, and you want to tell it to your senior stakeholders about certain progress, certain contracts, etc. So use email communication. Instant messengers came to replace those desk conversations or those water cooler conversations. You go to get some water, you talk to someone. Now, instead of doing that, you just ping them, you message them, and then you ask them for certain information. Can you come to my desk, or can you just tell me what the password is for that, or can you tell me how to do this, etc., etc. So there are different ways to do it. Now, why companies sometimes have so many softwares? One reason is that they might be a mixture of multiple companies. So sometimes what happens is you acquire multiple organizations through acquisitions. So as a result of that, there are different organizations who are using different software for the same things. So for instant messaging, they are using different softwares. For internal email communication, someone might be using Microsoft, someone might be using Google Suite. So it's just different software, and they are different companies, but now they've merged together. So now there are 2 different IT systems in one single company, and the IT team has to then decide whether it's worth keeping it. Does it have a cost impact, or we unify the whole expense and we just do with one software. Now, of course, one would feel alienated because they're like, okay, I was using that software, now suddenly I have to shift. But if you tell them that it just makes business sense because everyone can then communicate holistically, then yes, I think people will understand. And I have gone through that cycle as well. My company has got acquired. We had different systems. The company that acquired us had different systems, and over a period of time, we transitioned. So yeah.
No, that's actually a really good point. Merging and acquisition happens all the time in large organizations. And that's one of the indicative factors. I mean, if you're an enterprise, it's very likely that there has been many smaller companies that's accumulated over time. And that could be a very plausible reason why it's
And
that.
another reason is sometimes the senior management, right? So senior management comes and they change. They say that, okay, no, I think we should use this software, and they're coming.
Yes, this is what I thought the other reason is, and that's where I would like to challenge that. That's the worst way for a senior management to decide indecisively. I've also had good fortune of working at companies where there was just single platform, and eventually what happens is you don't receive or send much emails anymore. It's now less about watching your back or what is being tracked or what is being recorded. It's about genuine conversation. You want to take your project further, genuine questions you ask, And I feel like that is really good for any organizations, enterprise or otherwise, but especially enterprise, because there is a lot of emotions that are at play by individuals. That everyone may not feel as important because it's a large company, and there could be many things at play, and there is office
Many
politics and
things,
all of that.
yes. Many things,
Yeah,
yes.
yes. All of these things are a little bit simplified if it's just one communication method. That's what I feel. But again, that's just a small part of enterprise software. Let's talk about all different kinds of enterprise software out there. How would you subcategorize different kind of enterprise?
Businesses have two stakeholders. One are internal stakeholders and one are external stakeholders. External stakeholders could be your third-party contractors or your customers. And then internal stakeholders are the people who are actually working for you. And you need different types of software to manage them. CRM is customer relationship management. Say you work in a telecom company and you want to acquire a new customer. So when the customer joins you, you ask for certain information. Where do you live? What's your name? What's your date of birth? What's your contract? What SIM card or what SIM plan would you like to buy, etc. So these are all the customer details. You give them an account number so that you can, instead of their name, you can search them with an account number. You ask for their number or a mobile number. And the customer can have multiple mobile numbers. So you will have one single customer with multiple contracts, one SIM card contract, one mobile phone contract, one say roaming contract, etc. So you'll have different contracts. So that's one customer and you want to manage the relationship. The way it manages is you send out, okay, what bills has the customer received? What is their billing cycle? What is their plan? When did they contact support, etc. Anything to do with the customer, you manage it through a customer relationship management software called a CRM software. Now, for the internal people, you'll have an HR tool. So the HR tool will have a place where you'll have all the policies. So what are the different HR policies within the organization? Where can I find them? Then how do I book my holidays? So there is one place where you can book the holidays. Then what about my payroll? I want to figure out how much salary I'm getting. What is the benefit I will receive? Those sort of things. And then what about appraisal cycles? So how do I get assessed? How do I get promoted? What is my current grade? How do I move to the next grade? Who's my line manager? Whom do I report to? So all that has to be captured within a system, and that comes under the HR management system. Then you have, say, a business intelligence or a data warehouse platform. A data warehouse platform is where all the information is coming in. You are getting information about all the different types of sales you're making, all the different types of money that you are getting in from customers buying different types of contracts, all the different types of marketing information, which marketing methodology is giving you the maximum result. Are you getting better return on investment of marketing on an online platform through advertising, through billboards? So then you have a different solution for that. Then you have business intelligence. So you have all the data stored. Now you want to look at, okay, what predictions can I make? What behaviors or patterns I can see? So you'll have a business intelligence system. Then you have financial systems. So as I mentioned, accounting softwares. How do you manage the different accounts? So HR is managing these salaries, like who will receive what, but it has to come from a finance team. And the finance team will control, okay, how much money is coming in to the company, how much money is going out from the company, how much money is going to each department, and how much spending they are doing, and how much budget do they have, and who's responsible for that, etc. How many contracts do we have? How many suppliers do we have? How many invoices do we raise on a monthly basis? Who do we have to pay for? So that comes under the finance system. Then you can think of a content management system. So suppose I'm a website. So I'll have different types of assets. I'll have designs. I'll have icons. I'll have media files. So I have to store it somewhere and then I have to present it. I'll have a database, all those things. So a content management system which will manage all the content I have. Then I might have big databases, big servers, etc. Then there are project management softwares. So suppose I have multiple projects going on in my company. I need to manage the different projects. How do you track who's working on what? So you need to track somehow that as well. So project management software. And then communication. You mentioned about instant messaging. Email is still required because sometimes you have to send email. You can't instant message a contractor or a customer. You have to send out an email, right? Then you have to send out promotions, newsletters. So you have to manage all that. Then someone is signing the documents or the contracts. You want to store it somewhere. As I mentioned, a document management system. So these are all the different types of software. There is just whole plethora of things. Then I've not mentioned about supply chain management. So in a manufacturing company, you'll have to manage when is the supply coming for a particular bolt or a nut or a screwdriver or whatever that you need. I have placed this order. When is it going to be delivered? I need it by this date. Is it going to reach us by this date, etc.? So basically, different types of operations will have different software. Then you have a back office. So suppose a customer rings you. They have a CRM system, but how does the customer actually reach you? They call you, they raise a ticket, they submit an online form. So that has to come to a system. Then you have to track the status of that. So should I escalate it? Should I not escalate it? What is the SLA on this? The other thing is asset management. What about your computers?
Yeah.
Your IT guy is managing all the hardware. So suppose you're working remotely, they'll send you a company laptop. That laptop has to be tagged into a system. That system has to manage which employee has got what laptop. Do they have all the security updates? We recently were talking about CrowdStrike. So something like that. How do you manage that? Do they have the antivirus updated? Do they have all the things? Are they behind a firewall? Are they using VPN? And if their laptop breaks down, can I remotely access it and do some work on it, etc.?
Absolutely, absolutely. And then there are other things. You've covered anything I can think of. I'm nearly speechless. But then again, there's CAD management software. And also, if you think about all of these online platforms, aside from Amazon, there are some other popular clothing brands. If you go to the traditional brands like H&M, even they have thousands and thousands of different designs of clothing and all. How are all of these managed?
Someone has to take a picture. So there are different departments. So they have to manage that. Then they have to list the product. So that's where the content management system comes, or inventory management. Then they have to look at how much sale they're making through the online channel, how much sale they're making on the shop.
And
then they have to do refund.
And then managing the promotion and marketing of it, whether some products are going to have a few percentage off for some occasion that's coming up for Christmas, Easter, etc., etc. So it's just endless level of complexity. And how do the enterprise companies manage and still keep everything organized? And they have to, because of the size of the business they are. They will have to be, by nature, the level of diversity has to be high. It has to still remain scalable and manage all of these things. And that's where the enterprise software is here to rescue all of these gaps and problems that businesses face.
You have to think about customization. A lot of these softwares, they have all the features, but they are not designed for one industry. They're designed for everything. Suppose you buy, say, a Salesforce solution or a Microsoft Dynamics or a SAP solution. When you do that, you have to now customize it based on the business process. What is the actually business doing? So how do I customize this software so that it works for them? So that when they do something, it starts a workflow. It captures this information. It sends out an email, etc. So these softwares have to be customized for that particular business. And that's why you have these consultants. Then we forgot about recruitment and hiring. So HR will have a different system for recruitment and hiring as well. So there are all these things that you need. And you have to think from a startup perspective. If you're an entrepreneur, you start your company, what are the tools that you would need? And if you think about the industry you are in, you would slowly start figuring out. And now what has happened is with Google Cloud, Azure, AWS, what is happening is there is consolidation. So suppose you want to start a website, right? E-commerce store on the internet. So all you can do is you can go with, say, Azure, and then you will get Outlook, you will get Windows license, you will get your project management software, you will get Microsoft Dynamics, you will get SharePoint, and you will get your instant messenger, Teams, video recording, everything. So with one vendor, you can get all the products. Then you will have the asset management and etc. Everything. You will get your databases, servers, you will have automation softwares, you will have HR systems, etc. So now with one single vendor, you can get all the software. So that's how this becomes now a game changer. Earlier, you used to go for one specific software to one specific vendor, but now you can go to the same vendor. Of course, you won't stick with Microsoft because you are, say, an entrepreneur. You don't want to pay a lot, but it might be easy for you because you can scale up very quickly.
Yeah, that's always the finding the balance between scaling up and also the associated cost as a startup. But then again, if you have the hopes and dreams of becoming an enterprise one day or being merged with one, then you might want to think about long term and see what are the scalable solutions available in the market. It's just mind-boggling that so many different enterprise softwares there are. And even to manage a mid-level or small companies, you need multiple enterprise softwares to manage all of the different things. If you go with Microsoft, then they have a well-rounded software. They have Teams, they have Microsoft Dynamics, they have the whole suite you can get from Microsoft as one package, which you would rarely need anything else. And that's why they're big tech. And you got to think about your future and your convenience as well. At the same time, I also want to root for the underdogs, not big tech. You can't deny the benefits that comes with big tech.
It comes with customization. I recently assembled a PC. I can buy a laptop or I can buy a pre-assembled PC, right? I can just buy a PC off the shelf with this already assembled with parts. But sometimes you want to customize so that you get the optimum performance for your particular needs. So sometimes you can go with one vendor because you want convenience. You don't want to deal with multiple vendors. But sometimes you want to customize. You don't want to pay a lot. You think that for the short term, I need this, so maybe I can go with this company. In the long term, maybe I'll go with some other company. So you want to shop around. And that's why I think there is a marketplace for multiple products. It's not like you just go with one vendor and they are the biggest in the market, so you can't go with anyone else. No, there is Zoom, there is Teams, there is Google Meet. So you have multiple products. Then for text messaging, you have Slack, you have Teams, then you have Google Chat. So there are other platforms on which you can do chat. Then email communication, Outlook, and then you have Google Suite, Gmail, you have Proton Mail, then there are VPN software. There's so many solutions, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes me think all of these things are an ecosystem of different softwares which all work together to bring us the convenient life that we enjoy as consumers. And often we don't think about all of the works that are going behind it. It's not just the people who are using the software to get you that end product, but it also is the developers and the IT companies who built those softwares, and then the
Yeah.
salespeople who sold them to the right enterprises, and all of these things are going on. And it just, a lot of the times I think about all of the things that are happening in the world for us to have this video conference that we're having right now. So many things have happened before to make this possible, and it's truly amazing to think about all of these things that humans together are making possible.
It's like a Lego block, right? You start with a small block, one block, and then you can build like a Batmobile or an
Yeah.
international space station, right? With a simple Lego block. So it's just about that. So you first start with what is your requirement and what you need to do that. Always bear in mind, there will be multiple tools available in the market, but what is your requirement, right? Tools enable you to solve a problem, but humans have to decide what problems do we solve and what tool do we use to solve that problem. So humans are always involved in the discussion. Sometimes you go after a fancy tool. Oh, there is a new tool in the market, just let's try that. But it may not work for your business. So think carefully what you want to try. And sometimes you can recommend to your business that, see, I've worked in your company. I think this software is not suiting our requirements because this is what we do. And these are the challenges with the current software. But with this software, which I've done some research, I think it'll give us this much benefit. And plus it's saving us this much money. So I think you should invest in that. So that's a business case. You present it to the business. Business will say, oh, firstly, all my problems are solved and I also save money. So let's use that tool. So never go after a fancy tool. Always think about the problem that you want to solve.
Yeah, finding the right balance. That's the most important, especially if you're an entrepreneur. Now, we've talked a lot about different kinds of enterprise softwares that are there. So we basically covered everything that sits within enterprise software. But now let's look outward a little bit. Where does enterprise software sit in the horizon of all different kinds of software? So how many different types are there?
So there are some softwares that you can straight away buy, like Adobe Photoshop. And now if you go and look at some of the solutions, like you can buy a Microsoft Office for an enterprise, for a family, for a business, or for a professional. So it depends, like what scale you are at, and you can buy a different license, because when you are a big enterprise, they will customize the pricing for you, because you might want to negotiate. You will say, I need 100 licenses of Windows, so give me a good deal. So they'll say, okay. So those prices are not listed. Then you say that you're a startup. In a startup, you'll have maybe 50 employees. So you need 50 licenses. So they'll have a small business cost. Then you say you are a professional. You are a freelancer. So you don't need a lot of the fancy stuff. So you need a freelancer license. So you go for that. And then there is a individual license. So you say that, okay, I'm an individual. I just want to use it for my home. Or you want to buy a family license. You want to buy it for you and your wife. So you buy a family license, or maybe for your parents, and you buy a family license. So there are different licenses even for the consumer software, which can be used by enterprises. But say on a day-to-day basis, I don't need a HR system, right? I personally don't need a HR system. I don't have any employees under me, so I don't need it. I don't need a financial management system because I'm not paying any invoices. I get salary from my company. That's it. They pay the taxes. I don't need a supply chain management. I don't need a data intelligence platform. Business intelligence platform. I don't need a data
Well,
warehouse platform.
nowadays, the way we are gathering data, I would say it's becoming an individual need to analyze data.
But how will you collect the data? Say you go to Google, you go to Microsoft, you go to Slack, you go to YouTube, and you are going to all these platforms. How do you collect the data, what they are collecting, and then analyze it? It's too much for work for you, right?
Yeah, but you can download the data, all data Google has on you.
Yeah,
Page.
but imagine how much time and effort you'll have to put. So think about this. Sometimes it makes sense to download if you have something very sensitive. But how much sensitive information do you actually have that you have to download
I
the
mean,
whole amount of data, analyze it, spend that much time? Do you have that much time?
Well, actually, with the advancement of technology, this is a good topic actually, because I've been thinking about it for a few weeks now. Google Maps has all of the record of my 5 or 10 or however many years of everywhere I've been.
The
All
location
the-
history off. I've turned that
Yeah,
off.
but no, I'm thinking why though? I can download the whole history, and now with advancement of AI, I could upload it to Claude or ChatGPT and say that, look, analyze this. And this also includes all the time I maybe went for a run or for a walk or exercise or whatever. So how often did I exercise? Is there a correlation between the weather, temperature, and how often I went for a run? Or is there a particular time of the year when I'm more health conscious? And how can I replicate the reasons for that particular time of the year throughout the rest of my year? So I've been thinking about this, like by analyzing my past behavior, which are already collected by enterprises like Google, Alexa, etc., and they are ready for me to download. And what I was missing until recently was an AI system which will analyze all of these data, raw data. And now those are also available. Paid versions are usually better than the free ones, but however, it is available in your fingertip as a consumer. No, you don't have to be an enterprise for that. And you can find trends which can really give you an insight into your life and how you could potentially improve yourself. For example, there are times when I went for runs quite regularly for a few months, and then there was a break.
Yeah.
Why was there a break? What is there every year for last 5 years? Would I find a pattern, and can I then do something about that pattern?
There are fitness tracking softwares, right? Like Strava, Garmin Fitness, Apple Watch.
Yes.
So there are fitness tracking software. There are weight management softwares. You have a weighing scale. You can see a trend in the weight. You don't have to reinvent the wheel because I think that problem has already been solved. What you're talking about the use case, it is, I think it's a good thing, but how many people think in that direction? So maybe you'll have to just create something for yourself. There may not be a solution outright for you because how many
Yeah,
people are
no,
looking for
no.
that solution?
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. There are obviously data collected even by my scale, which is a smart one, and there is a cloud account, etc., and Strava and Samsung Health. But what if I could combine that with other data that might be correlative? For example, weather data, the temperature. I feel like now that right now it's summer, it's really hot. Even though I know I should go for a run, it's been a long time. But I don't want to go for a run in this heat. It would be good to know, to find patterns. Is it always the heat, or is it that also I don't go for a run in December? Because in December, I could do something about it. I could make myself keep warm and still go for a run. So it's interesting to find out. And it's not about just health. It's about for someone else who might not be very much into running, but they might be into different kind of eating habit. They might find out that they have, okay, so we're deviating from enterprise software for a bit, but the point I'm trying to make is sometimes looking at what enterprise software has solved could be beneficial for a consumer. They've probably solved a problem which wasn't applicable to an individual before, but now with the advent of technology, it might actually be beneficial. Even as a consumer or an individual, you might want to think about all the enterprise software that you're already familiar with from through work or wherever, or through our podcast potentially. And you might think, hey, yeah, I have no reason needing the same level of logistical solution as Sheen does. But by the way, if the same software had a free version, I could potentially catalog all of my clothing that I've been saving for 10 years, different brands and everything. Then I could catalog which ones I've worn 5 years ago and never worn since. And, maybe that fashion has come back in style, or maybe everyone, all of my friends have changed within the last 5 years. So I can wear that again. And that might be a cost saving solution. That might be a outfit creation solution. For a consumer, that's something that enterprise softwares have solved already for big scale problems.
But here I want to say that what are we looking at? Cost versus time. How much are you paying for it and how much time you're spending on it? And is the return on investment worth it? That's the calculation you need to do, because businesses do that calculation, right? So suppose I invest in this software, is it going to give me a better result? If it is not going to give me a better result, why am I spending that money? And how much time am I going to spend on it? If I'm going to spend a lot of time, that's time wasted on not earning money, because as a business, I need to earn money. So same way, if you spend a lot of time in managing all that, how much time have you actually spent on solving the problem that you initially intended to? So I think there might be a business idea, like how do you manage your life in an enterprise way? But you have to look at how much time you are willing to invest on that. Because sometimes, yes, you can do all that when you don't have a child, but say someone has a child, so then that means that they can't devote that much time, right? Because this will require a lot of time initially for setting up. One of the biggest con of enterprise software is the initial setup, because you pay for something and you can't immediately start using it. That sucks. It's like buying a car but not being able to drive. So you customize it, you onboard all your staff, you set up everything. Then you do a trial thing with a limited set to see if everything is working. Then you roll it out with a wider group, etc. So enterprise solutions work at that level.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the main difference between a consumer software and an enterprise software. And I totally see, acknowledge, and agree with that. But I'm still gonna challenge a little bit of that, is the fact that there are 2 or 3 things that you mentioned. One is the cost, but on a consumer level, a lot of the enterprise software providers give free. And then in terms of setting up, if it's just on an individual level or on a family level, it might be like you might just be looking at a very specific outcome. So you don't have to have the full-fledged all features and bells and whistles set up. You might just get benefit from this one particular area. I'm not saying it's a business idea. I'm just saying that, say, for a tech-savvy individual, it's something to...
No, I think it's a business idea, because I think like that. Because see, I have my Strava data where I track all my activities. Then I have my scale data where I track my muscle mass, fat mass and everything. Then you have the weather data, which I can't track. And then these weight data and the activity data are not connected. So I want to connect that as well. If I do a lot of activity, is my weight going up, my muscle going up, down, etc. And then you mentioned about your closet. I think, it's a good problem to have, because a lot of people times we have a lot of clothes. But firstly, we don't know what clothes we have, what size they are, and they are hidden somewhere. So when we always end up buying more. So I think this is a good way to solve that. So I definitely see a value.
There are so many ways you could integrate data. For example, it just came to me right now that Alexa has all of my past commands recorded. You can go to Amazon account and see like last 5 years of all the things that you told it. So based on, obviously now with the advent of AI, with analyzing voices and everything, and that might be a future topic for us as well, AI voices and synthetic voices, etc. But let's come back to it. But analyzing voices, AI could now tell what my mood was or what my health level was. And that could be correlated with your exercise pattern or with your running pattern or with weather data. And all of these things can be combined and then we don't always have to find the causation, as long as we can find a correlation.
It is important, and I think you can only improve if you measure something. Even in enterprise solutions, and with my own team, I say if you want to improve something, we have to first measure it. If we can't measure it, how do we improve it? Because we don't know what the baseline is.
Exactly.
This is the baseline, and either you want to go up or down. You need to first know what the baseline is, and for that you need measuring tools.
Yeah, and combine that with other things that we haven't thought about, like your bank statement and like so many other things. The healthier amongst us, like yourselves, you sometimes measure your heart data. We spoke earlier, you have a device which measures your heart rate and all of that for a long period of time. So all of that data combined, I feel like, of course, one of the things you mentioned is the time that you have to put in as an individual to find that. And I feel like this is the time when we could potentially consider it with the advent of AI, because you might need to put in less time and you can just put all of this together and just dump it all on a paid AI software, which will identify what's what and then analyze and find correlations. I feel exciting times are ahead of us as we all individually become a business.
Yeah, and I think it's all about brand building and brand awareness. So we are our own brands. The other day I was thinking, a lot of people buy t-shirts, right? And now they buy customized t-shirts. So basically they are advertising what they believe in. Say I'm a vegan runner, so I'll have a vegan runner t-shirt. So I'm advertising that I'm vegan and I'm a runner, and I can advertise that through a t-shirt. Now there is a company that sells bracelets. So you can buy a bracelet, you can customize it. You can customize it for your achievements, your personal achievements. Say you have run a marathon, so you want to say that I've completed a marathon, or you've done an Ironman, so you want to highlight that. So there is a branding, of course, involved, because people want to tell their stories and they want to be proud of the achievements they have made. And there are companies now to fulfill that. And in this competitive world, it is good to stand out. I think it's always good to stand out.
Yes. And everyone's unique in their own way. We all have many similarities, but also there are things that stands us out among the others. So yeah, absolutely. This was actually a very nice conversation. And as usual, very much enjoyed this. And it opened up a lot of thinking streams and a lot of new ideas. I'm actually quite satisfied with the conversation we had today. Hopefully our audience enjoyed the same. And please do let us know if you want us to talk about any particular topic, and reach out with any feedback that you have. We really appreciate all the people who reached out in the past and any feedback that we ever get. Yeah, with that, I feel like we had a really good conversation, insightful, informative, and would very much like to hear you guys what you think.
Thanks a lot everyone for tuning in.
Thank you.
Bye.